I found my Trump hat. If you've been a long time subscriber on my channel, I used to wear this hat in every single video. I found it, so that's pretty cool. If you want to see me wear it in a video, comment down below. Let me know. I don't think I look as good in it anymore, so I'm gonna not wear it for now on. So anyway, I got a video for you guys today. I'm gonna be talking about Alan Ritchson. Alan Ritchson, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is the actor of Reacher in the Reacher show on Amazon Prime. He made a video about a month ago, so I'm a little late to this. He made a video about a month ago talking about why he plays Reacher, even though he's a Christian. A lot of Christians were giving him a lot of stuff for that. He's like, hey, a lot of Christians were saying, how can you be a Christian and play Reacher? So he made a response video to that, and we're going to be talking over that today. I'm a little late to this. Like I said, it's a month ago. Andrew Clavin already made a video on it, and I'm going to comment on some of his. I'm going to comment on some of the stuff he said because I think he made some good points. But without further ado, I'm going to show you the clip that we're going to be talking about.
I love playing Reacher. I love telling this story. I love playing a character who creates a kind of moral ambiguity that we should struggle against as we consider whether or not what he's doing is good all the time or morally right. I think that kind of thing is fun and fascinating, and I think escaping to that world as an audience, hopefully it's as enjoyable for you as it is for me to help bring it to life. But it's funny to me how a lot of people criticize me, supposed Christians especially criticize me for playing Reacher, as if the only TV that should exist is seeing people silently folding their hands in the pew of a church. I mean, what kind of stories are we supposed to tell? If you look at Scripture, what do you find? You see 1,000 years of an infinitely holy God holding tension with human beings as he tells the story of who he is, reveals who he is through an imperfect people. So we get stories of paganism and a war and bloodshed and ghost stories, mysticism. We see miracles and magic, and we see life and resurrection and death. And we see this incredible canvas where God is completely unafraid to tell the story of who he is through less than morally ambiguous characters, through pure evil sometimes, you know? So I think it's laughable when people criticize me for playing characters that are not like saintly.
So in that little minute skit, I think he made some good points. I also don't think he meant when he said supposed Christians, which Andrew Clavin also mentioned in his video. So don't get upset. I think that's just him just saying the wrong thing. Like me in the last video when I kept saying support Christ instead of following Christ. But anyway, I like the Reacher show. I'm a big fan of Reacher. I like the books. I have like 3 of them here. I recommend you check them out too. But I think they're good books. I think the TV show is great. For the most part, obviously there's some scenes I skip at least, because I don't think those are good scenes. But besides that, I think the show's overall good. It's a good plot, good storyline. It's very faithful to the books. And I'm going to just talk about that, what he said. So he was talking about how he plays Reacher and how he's an imperfect person in an imperfect world, and why we can tell those kind of stories. And I actually agree with them. Majority of the Bible, if you think about it, majority of the Bible is very bad. A lot of the stuff that happens in this book is are very terrible things. You got murder and sexual immorality, rape and slavery. So it's if the Bible's allowed to have it in there, why can't we make our own stories that have our own things like that? You know what I mean? And I'm gonna make this point before I get any further. I know the Bible talks about in Romans 14, verse 3 and 4, how some Christians are sensitive to certain things, and that's fine if they don't do certain things. For example, the Bible brought up eating meat. Some people don't eat meat, some people do eat meat. And neither side should judge the other side, which is true. And I'm going to try to stay fair and close to that as I can when I talk about this here. I know a lot of Christians don't like watching films that have language in it. I know a lot of people, especially older Christians, don't like watching movies like that, which is fine because, that's what the Bible says if you're sensitive to certain things. But what I disagree with is, why do we draw the line at bad language? Why do we hold bad language at like a higher threshold than we hold other sins? Because if you watch pretty much any movie or any show at all, there's someone's lying, someone's doing something wrong. Even in like the most Christian movies, like God's Not Dead or War Room or Fireproof, in those movies, people are doing things that are not good. For example, in God's Not Dead, one of the characters is a Muslim. According to the Bible, having any God before God himself is a sin in of itself. So if you're going to sit there and say, I'm going to put language at this barrier, but this is fine, this is fine, this is fine, and you keep going down the ladder and saying these things are fine, but these two aren't, I don't think it works. Now, if that's your personal opinion, you don't like having language in your film, you don't like watching movies with bad language, and that's fine. Personally, I don't like watching movies with like too much bad language. I don't like it if there's like I'm not gonna watch a movie like Straight Outta Compton where there's like 200 F words or whatever, or what's that? Wolf of Wall Street has like 500 F words in it. Like, I'm not gonna watch a movie like that because there's no point, there's no purpose. It's just a degenerate. There's no good plot. It's just a movie to be offensive and try to be funny. But if there's a movie out there, for example, like 13 Hours, which is like the Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, there's like 70 F words in that movie, which I don't like. But the plot and everything around it, surrounding that film, it's a true event of things that actually happened to these people. So I think there's a difference between things that we watch. Now, personally, I still don't care for the language personally, but like I said, we can't be holding certain things over others. But I think there's a certain threshold where there's a certain point where we get past and we get a little out of hand. Now, I'm going to bring up a point that neither Andrew Clavin or Alan Richardson brought up. Now, when it comes to filming movies, I think that we could do a lot of things in film without sinning. Like, for example, if I'm making a movie about Jesus' life and I play Satan trying to tempt Jesus, I could film that scene without sinning. If I am filming a scene where a father and a son are arguing and the son's like, I hate you, Dad. Obviously, if you were to do that in real life, that'd be sinful, but you could make a film where an actor says that, and they're not sinning. The person in the film is doing something wrong, but you acting out that isn't necessarily wrong because you're not actually meaning it. You're reading a script, basically. You could film a fight scene without sinning, you know what I mean? One point none of them brought up, though, I mean, Andrew Clavin kind of touched on it, is the sexual side of a lot of films. A lot of movies, like 80s slasher films, have a lot of sex in them. The Reacher show has sex in it, which is why I mentioned earlier about how I skipped some of the scenes. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of those films have nudity in them, and that's where I think we draw the line when it comes to acting and stuff. Because if I'm fighting somebody in a movie, I hit them or whatever, I'm not actually hitting them. Like, for example, in the God's Not Dead movie. The God's Not Dead movie, in one of the scenes, the Muslim dad finds out the daughter's a Christian and then backhands her. You can film a scene like that without sinning. Like, no sin was done with filming that scene, even though that's a horrible thing to do. There was no sin done committing when you were recording that film, or that scene at least. Where when it comes to nudity, I don't think you could film a nude scene or a sexual scene without committing a sin, because what you are doing is the sinful act, and there's no way to go around it. I mean, the only way to really go around it, in my opinion, is to just not have it in there. You can hint at it, sure, maybe, but to actually show it, because if you're filming a scene, like a sexual scene, you have a nude woman or a nude guy, like, and there's like sexual tension, you're kissing, you're not acting, you're actually doing that. You're actually naked with a woman or with a man. You're actually kissing each other in a sexual tense environment. So it's like, that is where I draw the line completely. Because you're no longer acting, you're actually committing a sin. At least in my opinion. So that's that. I wanted to bring that point up. Andrew Clavin touched on it. He's like, "Oh, I'm fine with movies and stuff having nude in there," because he's like, "It doesn't bother me. It's not causing me to sin. It's what else did he say? It's not causing him to sin, and he's not rewatching them over and over and over, getting enjoyment out of it." Which I can see his point, but I still disagree with it completely. I still don't think that's a very good point to make. I don't think you can film a nude scene without sinning. So that's the point I wanted to bring up, because Alan Ritchson didn't touch on that at all. So I wanted to touch on it. I want to make one more point before I end the video. So last week at my young adults group, I host a young adults group at my church. We were talking about violent video games. We were talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 specifically, and whether or not Christians should play video games like that. And a lot of people critiqued me throughout my life because I play violent video games. But I think there's a difference between violence that is justified and unjustified. So when we were making our discussion, we're having a discussion about Grand Theft Auto 6, I think I was telling them, like, basically, there's nothing good about Grand Theft Auto. There's nothing good that you can do in Grand Theft Auto. It's like, the game is called Grand Theft Auto. You're stealing cars, shooting cops, robbing things. So when it comes to that, I don't think there's a good purpose, and there's no point to even play the game. You should just avoid it. Whereas if I'm playing a game like Call of Duty, for example, if I'm playing Call of Duty, I'm a soldier in a war that, like, sometimes these wars actually happen. Like the Black Ops games, those wars actually happened in World War II. Some of the Call of Duty World War II games, those wars actually happen. So there's a difference between justified violence, unjustified violence. So I wanted to bring that point up as well, because it kind of blends into this video as well. So I thought I'd add that point. So anyways, that's the end of my video. Hope you liked it. If you liked it, give it a like. Subscribe if you want to see some more content. And I'll see you guys later.